What is up, guys? Welcome back to another awesome video. Today we are going to watch Can Socialists and Capitalists Find Middle Ground? Jubilee. Now, I know what you're thinking. I've already made like 2 videos so far in a row about capitalism and all that stuff. Now, here's the thing. I want to talk about this a bit. I want to, just for like maybe the month. That's it. Then I'll like move on to another topic probably. But this is just how I want to do it right now. Just roll with it. So, can socialists and capitalists find middle ground? Let's go see. Let's go see. Because I'm someone who's more moderate in here, so I want to find a balance and see what's right about them and what's wrong about them. 14 minutes. Let's go.
We actually aren't looking for a middle ground with capitalism. We're not looking for a lighter, gentler oppression, exploitation, racism. We are seeking revolution.
Yeah. First, let's establish. Probably, like, are they socialist or do they think they're communist? Like, do they actually have the research done? Because if they really done the research, they'll know, like, the difference between socialism and communism. So I hope they realize it. Let's just go in. Don't want to interrupt much. Just want to watch. We brought socialists and capitalists together to spark dialogue about their differences and similarities. What can they agree on? Okay, socialism economic system characterized by collective ownership and worker self-management of the needs, production. We already know that. And capitalism, economic system based on private ownership of the means of production and operation for profit.
My name's Liberty. I'm studying psychology
Her name's Liberty.
at UCLA.
UCLA, okay. Capitalist. Her name's Liberty. Okay,
I'm 20
whatever.
years old.
I'm Sean. I'm 24 years old, and I'm in the Socialist Party.
My name's Mimi.
Socialist Party. I don't know. It sounds a bit cringe. I mean, at least he's not Democrat.
In 2016, I was the Socialist Party's presidential candidate.
Mimi.
I'm Shay, and I'm with the Socialist Party, and I'm 28.
My name's Jack. I'm 19. I go to community college.
My name's Richard, 19. I go to Cal State Long Beach as a chemistry major with a music minor.
I wonder, do you think there's any, like... Because look at this. I mean, yeah, they're all mostly guys, but, like, the capitalist side has one girl. So you, like, notice. Like, the girls on the side of the capitalists. What does that say for the guys, right? Do you think there's such thing as, like, a communist or socialist incel? I don't know. I think that would be one of the funniest ideas ever. Because maybe I could be that. Joking. For real though. Let's just see how things develop.
Socialists on the left and my capitalists on the right. Humans are inherently selfish.
Oh, let me answer that. Yeah, like, here's the thing. Humans are inherently gonna have selfish desires. Now that there is the exception to the rule where humans can be particularly very selfless, but you got also very, very selfish people. But most of the time, people want to, and selfish is not a bad thing, right? In like the moderate sense, right? If I have my land and I don't want to like give away my land, sure, you could say I'm being selfish, but like, whatever, Selfish would be like, you have all this money, you have like $5 billion and you won't even give $1 to a poor person. That's selfish. And I think that selfishness is something that's not a good value, or what I would call extreme selfishness. I would just say you gotta like, have that care for the poor, just like as Jesus Christ would have wanted. Right? He said it would be much easier for a camel to get into the needle of an eye. I believe that was the metaphor, or the whatever. It was something like that. It would be easier for that to happen than for a rich man to get into the kingdom of heaven. So it's more about self-sacrifice than really like your desires. Yep, the girl goes.
Mobile games are going big.
Shut up. Of course, the girl goes first. She goes first. At least she's smiling.
Selfishness is sort of one word for it, but looking out for yourself, your own survival, and your own gain. And of course, that.
And she's from like UCLA, so I have no idea what that is. I think University of Los Angeles. I don't know if she's a leftist. She's probably more conservative because she's capitalist, which I'm really sad. Honestly, I would wish that the capitalists, for some reason, are the Democrats like back in the day, just so like I could trash on them more. I don't know. I have a weird thing where I want to be a socialist, but I know it's bad. I'm like drawn to really, really like extreme ideologies. I don't know. Maybe that's just me.
That includes the
Have
gain
you
of
ever
those
felt
you
that?
love is one of the main motivators of people.
A really good way that we could figure out human nature is by comparing it to animal nature and stuff like that. And you see, animals doing whatever they can to survive. It's just culture that has changed us. But I believe at its core that yes, humans, just like any other animal, are selfish.
I work with children, and my experience of working with people who haven't been acculturated or have been into this idea that they need to be selfish all the time are generally not. Every organism has to have a sense of like getting resources for itself in order to survive, but that's much different than being selfish, I think.
I mean, I think even if you spend any time in a social democracy, let's say you go to Norway and you spend time there where the people see the collective good as tied into their own personal well-being. I think we have so many examples like that, societies working collectively toward.
Yeah, but social democracy, it's not socialist. The socialist that most of these people advocate for usually ends up like Venezuela, and that's the problem. It's just in an extreme sense. I don't like socialism. I'm anti-socialist. I'm antisocial. But I actually do care for a lot of social policies because I do believe the best way to actually counteract socialism most of the time is by using more socialistic policies, which means I do believe that, it's not just about counteracting socialism, it's also about Jesus and what God would have wanted. God doesn't really care much about what economic system, it's more of like if that economic system is following in his way. God probably would not support things like, capitalism because of like, the thing is just human nature. In fact, when they asked Jesus about how much should we let Caesar tax us, and he just said, let Caesars be Caesars, right? Whatever he owes, pay it, whatever, right? You just do what the government says, right? You deal with that, right? If you don't like it, you move, all that stuff. It's I don't think Christians should particularly get too political. I don't really think it should be like politics. It's more about Christian values that we should stand for and vocalize. And politics in nature is going to be talking about like how you change things like government, which, yeah, you could voice it, but I would say it's more of like a holy approach than trying to pick a team and all that stuff, right? I don't care about Republicans or Democrats. I care more about God. And I think both parties are just really, really they're just so secular, man. It's really sad. And like a lot of Republicans fake being, conservative a lot of the time, or just like being Christian. It's so annoying, man. I hate it. Like they'll say, "Oh, I love, God bless your heart," right? And then they steal $100 million, and then guess what? Oh, that's every Christian, right? Because the politician, right? And then we take the blame for that. We have to take the fall. You know what I mean?
The thing about the Nordic countries, in my opinion, is, since they're very, very ethnically homogenous, they all
that's
have...
a key point. We're going to go into a bit of race relations. That's going to be a big one. Because I don't want to give my full opinion on races because, why should I talk about that yet? That's a whole nother thing. I don't want to talk about that. For now, I'll just say Norway, Sweden, Finland, Iceland, right? They're all very low population. Sweden has 10 million people, Finland 5 million, Iceland 400,000, something like that. Very tiny population, not really dense. So, and it allows like them to do that. And in America, it's very, I would say, yeah, it's probably very diverse. You have interest groups, very different groups and different interests, which is the thing that's splitting apart America. We're not really unified as a nation. And, I believe in some of those policies. The problem is that these countries are dying population. They can't have the housing. They're having a housing crisis, which is really weird. The problem there is that they could have solved this a long time ago, but because they didn't solve the birth rate, and when the birth rate fell apart, it kind of like is already kind of falling into that. They're gonna have too many old people and not enough young people to work, and unfortunately, that's gonna not be the best for those countries. They're gonna deal with their problems. They're gonna get progressively worse, just like most of Europe over time. We're all gonna get progressively worse. That's just how I see it. Back to the main point though, like, yeah, they're all in like one group. I don't want to say it. They're all white. I mean, like, it doesn't really matter if African blacks all unite as African. Like they're black, right? Asians, right? They get along better. It's a much more connected country. In America, you have different interest groups, right? And we're getting split apart. All that stuff. I'm ranting on too much, man.
Very, very similar culture.
Yeah.
It's not an accurate representation of, what humans inherently are, because I believe that culture can mask human nature.
So you think that diversity would work against working in harmony toward a collective good?
Oh, yeah, totally.
In diversity, we have different ideas of what good is.
I think competition brings out the best in people.
Yo, I love competition. We need to have competition. Here's the thing. You might think I'm agreeing too much with the capitalist side. My critique is not like of these points. If they were to say, capitalism is mostly about money, or it's all about money, I 100% agree. Capitalism's all about money. Just admit it. It's all about money. It's all about making money. It's the whole point of the capitalist system, building wealth. And that's why humans like it so much, right? And then college, and like young people or poor people, they won't like it because they don't have the wealth, right? And, no hate on them either, because I think one problem is the poor suffer so much, the middle class and the poor suffer, and I actually have a lot of care and concern for them because they do struggle. There's a lot of horrible rich people that just don't care and hurt them. And capitalism is just not a system that's particularly good, that works for the interests of the people. I would just go for a well-balanced system. These questions are particularly more of what the neocons versus neoliberals, I guess. Well, neoliberals tend not to be the radical ones. It's more like the radical liberals versus neocon kind of stuff. It's not really that complicated thought and questioning, which is unfortunate. And Jubilee's not that bad. I like to see if there's a bit more to it. Yeah, I like competition. Not always. I also believe the government should own a lot of stuff. A lot of stuff. Maybe not our government. I don't trust our government. I would like a monarchy. Honestly, I would like a constitutional monarch, and then he owns all the railways. Maybe very large amount at least of the farm market. A lot of federal land, because I would like to conserve a lot of beautiful landscapes. That would be really cool. The natural beauty of the world. That's why I love Teddy Roosevelt's natural parks. Still there today. And I like his strategy, right? You speak very little, but you carry a big stick, right? I'd rather use, the bully pulpit, and you grab onto power like that. We need that again for conservatives. And he wasn't even really conservative. He was a progressive, but he's basically kind of like me, I guess, because he's progressive in 1800, 1900, but whatever.
Especially when, we're competing for something like, let's try to create this compound that could help, the masses in some kind of health relation form. You have all these research labs trying to figure out what's the most efficient way to figure out this process? What's the most efficient way to do this? I think we need more of that sort of sense of competition, especially in the sciences and whatnot.
We frequently hear about the evils of monopolies. It's because, when you control an entire market, why even bother being better at anything? You've got no competition. You've got nothing to strive for, and no one can choose anything else.
I agree with you both on the examples that you gave, but the thing that I'm kind of struggling with, if we're talking about efficiency, quality, then yeah, I think it brings out the best in people, but then again, it tends to bring about greed.
It tends to bring about greed. The thing is, the problem with the capitalism, which I already mentioned a lot before, and it's just about the wealth. It's about the money. That's all it's really going to be about. Maybe I'm ranting on the same thing, but it's a big key point. And it might sound very basic, like what the liberals say, right? And it's all about pressure, all about money. It's about the greed, the evil. But I'm taking it through a Christian perspective, which is not seen a lot. I think competition is very healthy. Like Finland has competition in the schools. I would like competition in schools. However, I would like a good balance. Maybe I wouldn't want all the schools to be particularly private. I like private versus public. I would like the option. So public school, you got to use public school correctly. I would want public schools, a lot of them for all the children. Then you have the option for private school. And then you could take your child to a private school and you have a lot more parental options. I would like parents to have more freedom to choose and to have options and variety. I would like that stuff. It would particularly really help. That's what I think would be the best, more parent choice. And the only problem would be if one just does so good that it just outdoes everybody, and then you have monopolies form. That's kind of the downside of competition you need to be aware about. That's why I think government should play a role in making sure everyone, one, plays in fairly, right? And two, I think companies shouldn't be outsourcing or looking outside. I think companies should be punished when they try and cheat their way or try to do anything for the almighty dollar. That's not what it should be about. But again, I'm ranting on so much. I'm so sorry. I'm just really interested in this topic.
Y'all do such a great service.
Can't hear anything.
It's a trip to me because, as you're likely aware, that there's this growing support for socialism.
Oh, I can't.
An economic system that places people over profit, that you're willing to continue to throw out the same talking points that have failed people so miserably. Again, it's a benefit to us, and I guess we should say thank you.
Nice.
If you
She
care about
was
something,
yeah. Look at this guy, though. Here's the problem with most socialists. Maybe it's not too bad, but you don't look too clean, sir. Also, you have some weight there. You need to be healthy. You gotta look really nice. I gotta fix my hair, too. I kind of look like crap, not gonna lie. You gotta look professional. You gotta look nice. And that's gonna really, convince people. Because if you're fat and you say anything, right? You're gonna make people be just, And then, look how,
you're passionate about something, you don't
look how this guy looks, right?
need the threat of someone doing it better than you to do the best that you can do. Ask any creative. Competition leads less to excellence and more towards doing whatever you can to edge past the other person.
Today,
There we go. So we got this guy. And look at what they do. Look at their clothing. They actually look a little bit more professional, I would say. Maybe not him as much. It's decent. He has I would say he's the type of clothing that I would like to wear when I'm in college. It's just nice clothing. It's professional. And then she's wearing a professional outfit too. just professional, something nice. And this guy's just wearing a plain t-shirt, jeans. And like these guys, they all wear the same. They all have their posture. That's the problem too. Posture. His posture. Look at his posture. He's up. It's up, right? Her posture's a little bit down, but like her body's still like going up. And look at that. Look at this guy. He has his like pocket down. He's just like this. Right? That's the problem with him. They look like autistic kids just standing there. They look really sad, pathetic, and it makes you feel a little bit less sympathetic to their points and arguments. So it's a lot to do with how you present yourself, which I have a lot of problems too. You could blame me for all the same stuff I criticize on them. I have the same problem sometimes, right? I'll look like crap. I'll do a lot of dumb crap things, and my posture will be like really, really stupid, man. You can criticize me for that too. I'm just saying, like, we gotta all be aware of that. We gotta have good posture, and again, I'm ranting on. What the hell? I rant on it every little detail. I'm so detail oriented.
Has the opportunity for success.
Everyone has the opportunity for success. I'll let them
All right,
talk.
if we're talking about the United States and we're talking about financial success, then yes, I would believe so. If we're talking about the world, it doesn't necessarily have to mean financial well-being or like stability. I think that it really just means how you're happy and how you're okay with yourself, and you make a goal and you pursue your goal, and if you fail or achieve it.
That's exactly what I was thinking. I find that there are so many resources out there that you can enact on. It's just there's some people who just don't do anything about it.
My first thought here with this question is, you gotta be fucking kidding me.
Hey, language. My channel's family friendly. That's why I have to say poo poo and crap.
So many people in this country who solely because they exist, they're under threat, whether it's through, the police. They're just trying to survive.
So everyone's very different. Again, everyone has different opportunities to what they can even.
Equality, right? That equality is a lie. Equality's not real. That's the thing. There's always going to be inequality no matter what. And I think they both make up good points. I mean, like, that guy's just, like, I don't know, kind of stupid. Also, like, he cussed. He's kind of making me a little pissed off. How I see it, I kind of am sympathetic to both points. One, right, you're always going to have that inequality. Some people are going to be better off, worse. Some people are going to actually do better because they work hard and they improve themselves. However, I think you also have to look at, like, situations where if you're born into a poor area, most likely you're going to stay poor. And I hate this whole equality thing. It's not about that. What I care about is I want you to at least be above that, at least be in a livable home. I don't really care if we have, like, person A and person B. Person B, I don't know, makes 150K, lives in, some mini mansion or some nice home in New York. And then person B makes like 40,000, right? In New York, so very poor, right? Almost living on the streets or something like that, right? So, I want that person to be able to have more and be able to get lifted up. However, I don't want them to have the same as the other person because you're not working that much. Well, we want to make sure the starting level is something safe. That's kind of what I want. Homelessness off the streets, solving poverty, all that stuff. I want them to get better, to get help, right? However, I don't really want to try and make everyone equal, the same level. That's kind of how I see it. And I think he's kind of hinting on certain group. I don't want to get into that. I really don't want to get into that yet.
Even consider success. In the US, though, there are a lot of opportunities for most people, though, of course, you can't say all, and there are always those who are extremely unfortunate and should be helped.
I'm sure every one of us has sat in a restaurant before or a Starbucks. Those people work their asses off. Any of these low-income jobs are not easy, and they work for pennies. If something goes wrong with their car, they're done. If they have a health problem, they're done.
You're talking.
Most of the people I think suffer the most, which, yeah, sure, they deal with a lot of crap, but You're a Starbucks worker. I mean, what'd you expect? This is mostly for teenage jobs. I would like a program where like they actually teach you how to get above that. And if you don't do that, then you're an idiot. You can't get help if you aren't even accepting the help, right? That's mostly for like more teenager, young people. We need young. When you get older, you progress to the job. That's kind of how it should go. However, like I said, you get that help. Most of the people I really want to have I really have concern with is the working middle class people who, like that worker in Ohio, you know what I mean? That worker in Ohio, blue collar, hard manufacturer worker, automobile working Michigan, these type of people. I worry about them the most. The oil workers in Texas, those people, because they are working so many long hours. They're putting their sweat in their blood. It's just exhausting. I think we need to have more coal workers, coal miners, because they sacrifice so much. Oil refinery, hard manufacturing jobs. These people, we need more of them, and they deserve respect and love because these people do so much. Construction workers, right? These people, they build our country. The people who build our cities, right? That's the people who I think like suffer so much, and they deserve more credit. And regarding teachers, because I know that's one that's talked about a bit on teachers' pay. I mean, I think in Texas they're decently well paid. I would prefer higher teacher pay, but less of like screens and technology in the classrooms. I would like the teachers to be more practical. So better teachers, better pay. That's how I want it. Right? I want the teachers to be higher quality, and I want them to have higher pay if they're doing their job correctly. And that's just my take on it. You can agree or disagree in the comments below.
Thinking about financial success, though, success is extremely relative and can be defined in many different ways.
In a capitalist society, though, isn't financial success the most important thing?
No.
I've worked in the food industry for a number of years, and I can not say that any one of my companions was ever happy to be doing that.
Yeah, and if they're going to school on top of that, so they're working full-time, and on top of that, they're going to school, and they're paying school.
I would consider that successful if you can go to school and you can maintain your GPA and you can also be working a part-time job and somehow affording your school. Yeah, you're doing well in life.
Society.
Yeah, I would say I've never actually, done this since I'm 15. That I'll have to see it when it happens to me. I'll be the judge of that.
Should help the underprivileged.
Yes, 100% yes. And the underprivileged, I believe the socialist people are gonna say it's like minorities. I don't want to talk about this. Ugh. But liberals like to say it's all the minorities. We gotta help the minorities. I'm just for people who are hard workers. That's really it. Hardworking people who are undermined in society. That's who I think is underprivileged most of the time. The middle class people.
That sort of saying, if you give a man a fish, etc., holds true. And also, who should do the helping and how is very important. Not all acts.
She just winked at me.
Who should do the helping and how is very
Just wink.
important.
Yeah, she winked at me. Or she winked at someone else there. Whatever.
Not all acts of service are equally beneficial.
I would agree to that. I myself, I'm sorry to use a personal anecdote here, but I've personally dealt with the fact that, giving someone this much aid, they become lazy. My father is an alcoholic. So since due to an injury in his leg, he gets SSI. And what ends up happening is he receives enough SSI to the point where he's not motivated to do anything else beyond just going home, drinking a beer or something like that. And I think, yes, people should help people, especially if they're underprivileged or they need the resources to push them. But to what end, that's the fine line.
But your personal anecdote only covers the small demographic of the alcoholic. Most of the people that
Every example you guys have brought up has been specifically about people who are particularly poor when most of the country is lower middle class and up. That's
Well, that's not a fact. But that you would focus on this in a city.
We are getting more poor. That's just the reality. We are getting more poor. We are suffering. When was this video? This was 5 years ago. To be fair, this was 5 years ago. This is before the whole Joe Biden came along and COVID. But like, man, income inequality went so high in 2020. All these corporations, they like bought out all these neighborhoods, all the poor neighborhoods. And we have poor people everywhere, man. Honestly, today, you can't expect me, you can't just tell me straight to my face and take it seriously if someone were to say to me, oh, Bennett, America's actually doing very fine. We're doing fine as a country. We're actually going the right way, and most of the people are just the lower class, slightly lower class, like upper class, middle class. Most people are hitting that. I would just respond with, dude, people are in the cities, man. They're growing even farther in poverty. Meanwhile, the rich are getting richer, and I don't like the whole communist type of thinking. That's not the rhetoric I'm going with. I don't really care if Jeff Bezos has $200 billion. I care about the guy and the worker can have a livable job. That's kind of my goal and priority there. Because again, my priority is about Christianity. But I'm just saying, man, the income inequality is very noticeable, and the middle class has been suffering over these last couple of years.
One that gives more than half of its budget to the police in a country that just passed a military bill, a spending bill, that's almost $1 trillion. That money goes to defense contractors.
The government paying for things is not capitalism.
But we're in a capitalist system.
Okay? I don't get what he's saying. I mean, the government's doing dumb crap, but the thing is, they're teaming up with, other corporations and defense contractors, all of these people who are other interest groups. And one of the worst things, definitely, they work with the Facebooks, they work with the media, they work with Vanguard, BlackRock, sometimes even because of the lobbying there, right? These social media groups and these corporations, especially even Disney, perfect example there, they're massive in the lobbying. They have massive lobbying campaigns, and you can see a politician who the people who fund it's giant corporations. And the lobbying, I think, is more particularly the problem. And as for this in particular, I think it's a government problem, right? This is a government being stupid. This is bad government. Bad government doesn't make socialism as you can't just say, oh, this government is doing horrible, therefore all big government's bad. You can't do that. I like big government. I would prefer big government. However, I want big government that represents my values. The reason why our government fails is it's because it's so libertarian, so liberal, it's so free-flowing. That's what it does. It spreads its filth of liberalism everywhere. And when I say liberalism, I mean they're gonna legalize the transgenderism and all this stuff. They spread it out, right? And then they spend trillions of dollars, especially on, like I said about transgenderism. They spent $2 million on transgender monkeys. You can look that up. Our government is very idiotic. It's failing, and that's why something new is going to come up. At least I really do hope that we have change, man.
Where the government pays huge amounts of money for the things you're talking. Yeah, I'm not in favor of those things.
How about instead of spending the money on the military, how about putting those back into basic needs?
I mean, he's an idiot in many ways, but based, that is true. I agree 100% on that. Stop spending on military. We already spent $100 trillion. Wait, what? Not $100 trillion. We already spent $1 trillion in the military, man. What the hell are we doing? right? We spent 60 billion Ukraine, and this is before Ukraine and Israel, by the way. Right, it's $60 billion. No, it's 200 billion. Sorry, we spent around 1.05 trillion dollars, and then we upgraded our spending bill from 800 to 850 billion in the military. Cut the spending, way too much. Right? I hate that, man. We're overspending so much, man.
Healthcare, education, housing.
Yes.
I agree.
I like that.
The government-
I like that. I agree with that. We need more money on the healthcare and maybe a bit of social security. The problem is they're carried out stupidly by our government. How I would like it managed is, we have some kind of good group in the government who knows what they're doing with checks and balances and run by the constitutional monarch, because I trust a monarch above our government.
Taking our taxpayer dollars and funneling it into, they're paying for things that the military explicitly says that they don't need. That's not, capitalism is about prices and transparency and choices.
Nowadays everything's so vague. Fascism, capitalism, or what else are the talking points, right? You're a Nazi. Nazi's a nationalist socialist, which, this will be a little bit controversial to say, but technically speaking, it's Nazi, the ideology, is that particularly bad? Nationalist socialist. Just nationalism and socialism combined. Not talking about Hitler, but the ideology, right? Which would be considered Nazi. The Nazis, I think, are evil, right? Bad. But, nationalist socialism, right? National socialism, or Nazi would be National Social Workers Party, right? The whole thing there. But I think the ideology itself is not particularly evil. It would be just open for discussion. I think it's wrong, though. I think it's a wrong ideology, too secular, like all the other ideologies.
Money and buys
This
it
is
because
actually an
they
example
decide.
of capitalism working.
That is not,
As
that
a
might be
system,
what you call capitalism, but when
it
I
has to
come here saying
accumulate.
I'm a capitalist, I'm not saying I'm in favor of that.
Profit and ethics are opposing motives.
Yep. They are.
It's core to profit. You have to exploit. And again, there is nothing ethical about exploitation.
Yeah, I can't think it. I'm really having trouble thinking of a situation where someone could profit off of something without exploitation being in the mix, and I'm running out of ideas.
Yeah, I would say no, there's probably a lot of examples where a company is doing something ethical, not exploiting, right, and making profit, but that's much more rare. It's much easier to be greedy, right? Like exploiting in China, exploiting in Africa. That happens all the time with companies, especially in history. Very dark, very horrible, right? Especially since, the corporations were the ones that exploited slavery most of the time, right? And you had a lot of the churches and monarchies. Now, to be fair, a lot of them were not doing anything about it, but a lot of them must have voiced their concerns and even were against this stuff. If you could see letters that were written.
You're running a business, and you're the one up top. You would obviously walk away with more money if you pay your employees a little bit less.
Yeah, like what they do in China, bro. I love it. These people say the most simplified way, but it's kind of true to a certain extent. It's kind of true to a certain extent, you know what I mean? Because how we outsource to China and they're getting the cheapest pricing ever.
I think that profit and ethics can be intertwined when seen with the corporate social responsibility module. When they treat their employees better, they give them more benefits, they raise their wages, and in turn, it motivates the workers to work harder. And
Treating your employees better than shit is not necessarily ethical.
Language.
Raising the quality does not mean that you've raised it to a sufficient standard of treatment. Because if you're paying someone less than a living wage, that is unethical.
all I'm saying is it is to some degree more ethical and can be seen as more ethical to be beating competition by raising the wages of your employees and giving them better benefits.
Also, one must be paid slightly less than they are making in worth for a company for it to be worth it to hire them at all.
If you can't pay your employee the minimum amount of money that they need in order to live, you have no business being in business. And I think also...
Yeah, honestly, I prefer that. This is the point where I can see the socialists. I think this is actually their best argument, honestly. At least these types of, these socialists, I think this is their best argument they can do.
So there's a tendency from the conservative side to skew away from sort of objective fact. I mentioned the MIT living wage calculator, right?
Yes.
That's a scientific model.
Wow.
That 29.25. So as a company, if you can't afford to pay your employee a living wage, that's just the minimum that they need in order to live, right? Get the fuck out of business.
Why are we even talking to you when you have all the facts and we don't know anything?
Language, and by the way, that's kind of an evil stare. And he's kind of coming off with an ego there. You should be very humble and be very open to discussion. You should, I kind of agree, but at the same time, I think what the capitalists get wrong a lot of the time is the whole laissez-faire method and all these systems. It doesn't really check for ethics. These systems don't care much as with ethics. Even if you say it, it's very different from what actually is executed.
I don't know.
It's hardly worth my time.
Well, we would, sure.
It's hard to really lean towards one side or the other if everyone is just sort of stating all these coherent biases and not accepting any sort of thing from any other particular side, which is why I'm sort of I'm trying to understand your side, and I'm trying to grasp really my side of it. And again, going back to sort of that mutual understanding of what can we do next? That sort of mutual understanding needs to be there if we're going to ever continue to see what's best for the U.S.
I think one reason why, you often see folks on the left, the socialists, communists, anarchists, or et cetera, they're so passionate, and there is anger, seeing the suffering and the oppression and the exploitation, the racism, et cetera, you sort of feel this urgency, we're constantly under sort of this self-criticism and self-reflection about how do you package what can be complex ideas into ways that are very palatable? And
That's me every hour.
And I think if there's a failure on the left, that would be one of them.
I wish that rather than having an agenda that we try to prove and we see ourselves as winning by convincing the opponent, I wish that we could consider winning as finding the middle ground and finding where we're similar and finding the truth. I think if you're in the pursuit of truth, then you've won, contrary to convincing other people that you're right.
Despite that, we definitely...
Honestly, yeah, I like these people. They're all trying to chill down there, and they're trying to mutually understand. I like this ending. It's actually trying to yeah, we talked all about this. Now let's try and find some middle ground, as it says, literally middle ground.
Definitely disagree on pretty much
These are
everything.
nice people.
It's good to know the real common ground here is we as millennials and Gen Z and stuff, we're actually talking about this, whether we were able to convince the other side of anything or not, at least we give a shit about it. This is stuff that we need to talk about. This is stuff that we need to be aware of.
Amen.
Especially given our leaders. So,
Amen.
All right, guys, that's a wrap.
Thank you.
It's a good argument.
Pleasure, really.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you.
It's good talking to you.
Hey, that was a good video.
Hey guys, thanks for watching that episode of Middle Ground.
Okay, so that was a good video. I guess we can read some of the comments, I guess. Just read what they said. Read what they say. So, yeah. I'm actually pretty surprised how the comment section could find more middle ground than these dudes. So, socialism on my left, capitalism on my right. Haha, I see what you did there. Aiming your child liberty is the most American concept I've ever heard. I know. Bro, I was thinking about that too. A lot of immigrants think Scandinavian countries aren't capitalist. Yeah, that's true. Now, okay, they aren't really. I wouldn't say they're capitalist, but they do have the free market edge, which you could say that's capitalist, but I don't think they're particularly capitalist countries. It would be awesome. Jubilee did less editing. Like these episodes breathe a bit more. Yeah, I would like that, but I would like it to be 20 minutes long. That would be better. Yeah, how can a guy with a name like Mimi be a socialist? Shouldn't it be our? I love these comment sections. Can I get the socialist on the left and capitalist on the right? Oh, and by the way, do you know? I believe the origin of left and right was because the French government, when they took over, you had the monarchists on the right, and then you had on the left the liberals. Which, yeah, right, the monarchists. We gotta be monarchists. And that's why I'm like, Jubilee, can we make like a monarchist versus democracy people? How do you call them? How do you call them? I guess Democrats? Because democracy. So yeah, like, you get classical liberals, I guess. Classical liberals versus monarchists. I wanted to have that discussion because, like, that would be the coolest thing ever. Me, Lavadar, who else? John Doyle. John Doyle, me, Lavadar. We all come in. We're based. We have good posture. We're perfect. And then you have, like, the other side. They're all like the Joe Bidens. They're dorks. They're old. They're either boomers or they're just someone really, really stupid, and they have horrible posture. They're doing this. Meanwhile, we're coming in like this posture. We're looking in tough, ready, prepared, and we know what we're doing. Yeah. Okay, whatever. Okay, I gotta go. Thank you so much for watching this video. Please like and subscribe, and I will see you later. Bennett out.